Alright, so this is Pioneer's DMH-C5500NEX. That's quite the mouthful. Sorry it's dark out. Just to show you what the boot time is on it. The backup camera will come on immediately if I were to put it in reverse. So this is the radio interface without Android Auto on. Pretty simple. You can go select all your different inputs. One of the things I like is you can actually select the camera view at any time. You'll notice right now it's actually got the factory backup grid lines on it. If you install another camera, it comes with its own grid line markings, so you can toggle those on and off. Of course I have it off because the factory ones with the factory backup camera work better. But it's a pretty simplistic layout. If you are using the non-Android Auto hookup, you can just go there, go home, select all your different selections. So Bluetooth, HD radio, Spotify, USB, Pandora, all that. You can see there's the icon for if your phone's hooked up, which I don't have my phone plugged in right now. Which I'll do in a second. But the settings you can go through, pretty standard stereo settings. So you can adjust the picture, the brightness, contrast, the dimmer. So right now I have this at max brightness for the video. You can also adjust the rear camera output for the picture on the rear camera. It's got the ability to theme the radio, so you can select different backgrounds. It comes with a bunch of options for preload it, and then you can via USB load your own pictures if you have it on the USB drive. Different themes, so different color themes you can select through. The illumination on the side, you can change all of the colors to whatever you want. So a bunch of options. I just leave it with blue. Actually, let's put it to white because it kind of matches the truck. This display off. Then that's kind of the home button. And then the capacitive buttons on the side, volume, mic, and all that. So it works pretty well. This kit's installed with the Metra 108-CH2B, that is a mouthful. So my truck's the 2015 Uconnect 8.4 was the factory system. I really wanted to have Android Auto, so this is the system I went with because I didn't want one of the Tesla buggy style radios because I hear there's lots of problems. So this Metra kit replaces all the climate controls with a 4.3-inch touchscreen, which is going to take some getting used to. It does have some analog buttons, so you can see here you can change the temperature, the fan speed, or you can do it via the touchscreen itself. But if you go into settings, a lot of the things where you would normally have done it through your radio are now in the settings. So like the backup camera, you can enable or disable it. So I had to contact Metra a couple of times to figure out some of the wiring behind it because their instructions not the best. And one of the problems I had when I first plugged all this in and configured it was the steering wheel controls weren't working, and it wasn't displaying the temperature, it was just displaying high and low. So I called Metra, and they actually had to send me a custom firmware for it, which there's a USB port on the back side of it, and you go in their software and update it. Took them about 5 minutes to send me the file, took about 2 minutes to flash it, and it fixed everything. So steering wheel controls work as factory, and you can see now the temperatures on there. So everything can be controlled through here. In addition, you can control the heated seats, heated steering wheel, and I'm not quite certain what that does. I'll have to figure that out, but you can go home. So there, back in the settings, there are a bunch of things in here that were not available on the my factory setup. The power steering sport modes, I don't know if it's actually making a difference, or if it's an option my truck probably didn't have, but there are some things that are in there. Park sense, you can do sound and display. So all the options are there, and then a couple that weren't there through the factory Uconnect system. So far no functionality's been lost. The only thing I've lost is Uconnect, which I don't care about because I never used. And then the factory microphone is no longer working, but with the radio comes another microphone, which I've mounted next down there by the steering column with just some 3M double-sided tape. The wire's hidden, it's out of the way, I don't really notice it, and it works pretty well. So the main reason I installed this stereo is because I really want it Android Auto. So I'll plug my phone in, show you the interface of the Android Auto. My biggest complaint so far is Android Auto, when you plug it in, it does take a few seconds for it to boot up and switch over, but it's not too bad. By default, it kind of kicks you to maps, but if you've used Android Auto, you can go in here. It's got all the apps. I don't have a whole bunch of them installed. One of the nice things about this is the Google Assistant functionality, so it really is kind of a hands-off experience. So, okay Google, play 3 Days Grace.
Okay, asking Spotify to play 3 Days Grace.
So it's automatically going to start playing just up through a bunch of 3 Days Grace songs. You can also ask it to play specific songs, which I really like, and it'll automatically start playing them through Spotify. Also the functionality of calling people, or messaging. So, okay Google, message Galena.
Message to Galena using SMS. Sure. What's the message?
Hi babe.
Here's your SMS message to Galena. Hi, babe. Do you want to send it or change it?
Send.
It's on its way.
So that
message sent.
Thank you. That hands-off functionality is really, really nice. I've really gotten to like that in the last day while playing with this. I'm not going to open that because that's my stepbrother and God knows what he sent. So the screen itself is pretty clear. It's definitely clearer than the Uconnect system, even though this is not an HD screen on this. He's very, very persistent today. But scrolling is not completely lag-free. It is better than the Uconnect system, I will say. You can kind of see it's not like as smooth as a modern cell phone, but it does work quite well. One of the other things I like about this, if you go to where your phone's at, you can select between Android Auto and an app called WebLink, which is not without bugs. I have a hard time getting it to work every time. But with WebLink, you can go to all the different apps that come pre-installed on it, and it only seems to be the apps that are pre-installed on it. But as long as you're in park, you can sit there and do stuff like watch YouTube videos. So if you're sitting and chilling in your car, you can get all of that. And the video quality is pretty good. A little bit bigger screen than sitting watching it at home. So exit out that. And I'll go back to Android Auto. And you can see it just takes a little bit of time to switch. But overall, I really like it. I think I'm going to keep it. No real bugs so far. Everything works the way I want it to. And having Android Auto is definitely worth it, especially with the hands-off functionality, be able to just summon Google and have him do all the bidding. Him or her, whatever you want to go with. But the Metra kit is pretty clean. The quality is very, very nice on it. My complaint is that it does stick out compared to the Uconnect screen, which was, I knew it was going to. It's hard to see because how dark it is, but it sticks out a good inch. But this is probably one of the largest screen receivers you can get until you get into the Alpine 9-inch stuff that will stick out and away from the dash. So for as far as a flush mount goes, you really can't get any bigger than this. So this is an 8-inch screen receiver, Uconnect's 8.4, a little bit different form factor, and holding them up next to each other, you can definitely see that this one is a little bit smaller, but it's definitely big enough for what I want it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to comment and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thanks.